Oliver just asked me an important question. What happens in the case when you don't agree, when you have a different opinion about something? What happens in that case? Good question. So 1 Corinthians 1:10 says we have the same mind and the same opinion or judgment. But we also know, like, we are Americans, like Americans are kind of known for their independence and their own thinking and their own persuasion on things. Like, that's a big part of our culture. Like, there's new ideas and there's other opinions, and it's very broad, actually. The diversity in life is a part of our life, like that's important to us. And it's important that I realize that I do maintain my individuality. I could speak, 45 minutes on this because it's a big subject, and I don't know if I'll be understood but I'm going to do short, like just a few minutes on it. Individuality. Individuality is an important part of life, and I talk about it as an American. Like an American, not all Americans think this way, but I do, and I have, and it was like my life, I'm an individual. I may not even be part of a community. I'm an individual, and I emphasize the individuality. But through the cross, I become part of a community. I become part of you. And that actually is very good, Before I was saved, I thought individuality was the best way to live. But then after getting saved and realizing that I'm with you, I find that the community or the body of Christ is the best way, but I still maintain my individuality. But through the cross, I actually lose my individuality in the flesh, but I maintain my particular specific type of particular person in the body. Let me repeat that. I still am Tom, though I am part of you, okay? There is no one replaces you. You are Denise, okay? Denise, though, okay, so I'm still, all right, so that's a principle, that's important. And I like it because I call it, what codependency is? Anybody? Codependency. It's really when I function only with you. I can't be apart from you. Anybody have a Bible illustration of a man that walks with God, but he's alone? Enoch walked with God, okay? Like Samson, also. David's mighty men. David's mighty men were able to fight alone, okay? The other principle is that I need you, because we are designed to be part of the body, and the body like this, we use a dependency, but it's not independent and it's not codependent, it is interdependent. Okay? I need you, but I don't know how to explain it, that I can live without you. Okay? I love you, but I don't know how to say it, but I can walk away from you. I need you, but I don't know how to explain it, but I can do okay in God by His grace. And I need you. So there's a mystery there. I hope you got it. Now, it leads us to this point. One mind, having the same mind. We've been talking about how Paul is taking the Corinthians and leading them into having the same mind on things. All right, so do we have the same mind on everything in this room, in this church? Do we have the same mind on everything? I'm sure we don't. We have Tommy from Albania, Helena's from Norway, Vuokos from Finland, Timur's from Russia. We have Karen from Pittsburgh. Okay. We have Chinese. Okay. There has to be differences. I mean, of course there are. Those differences are part of life. Diversity is a part of our life. But there is a unity through the cross, and I think that we could say the fruit of it is love. Amen. There is love. If there is love, there is God. But there's sometimes people take differences and they fuel fights. They sow strife. If they are arrogant, they can take differences and make a world war out of it. If they are arrogant, they can say, ha, 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 ha. We do this way. You know, I don't agree with you. Okay. I don't agree. There's two ways you can say, I don't agree with you. Another way is like, you just quietly don't agree. You just have a persuasion in your own mind. But you don't bring it up. Let's look at an example. Romans 14. Verse 1. Him that is weak in the faith, receive ye, but not to doubtful disputations. Translation. There's things that we have differences on, or things that we have doubts about. There are what we could call gray areas. Gray areas. We receive one another, but we're not emphasizing gray areas. I don't know. Oh, I think I can think of an example. Playing cards. Playing cards, you know. I don't know, ask your neighbor what that is in your own language, or you know what playing cards means? Tommy, do you know what it is? Tell him, Tommy. Anybody? Playing cards. Pastor Teplov, you know what it is? Playing cards. You know what that is? Okay. How many grew up in a church where playing cards is really wrong? Okay. Playing cards is really wrong. Anybody? Okay, a couple of people. I can see that somebody would say, you know, we don't play cards. It's like just wrong to play cards because that's the way they think about it. So maybe that's how they think. It's okay with me. Like Brian grew up that way. Maybe that's what he thinks or believes. I don't really care. You don't no need to comment on it. That's fine. So how do I receive Brian? Not to regarding the card playing. That is not the. What other things? The Sabbath is on Saturday. The Sabbath is on Sunday. Is that how I receive? I met a guy in the street. He knew I was evangelizing. He came right up to me and said, "Do you believe the Sabbath is on Saturday or Sunday?" He's like, "Wow, great fellowship. You know, wow, this, you know, you're revealing the Lord to me right now. This is awesome." No, is it Saturday or Sunday? I knew what he wanted to hear. I believe it is on Saturday. And he's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And on Sunday. And on Monday. And on Tuesday. All right, if you believe it is on one of those days only, then that's fine. I'm not receiving you based on this. There's something deeper going on in our lives. And that is love. And we don't receive each other based on these things. Look at verse 2. For one believes that he may eat all things. Another who is weak eats herbs. What's that mean? He's a vegetarian. He's a vegetarian. What do you think about vegetarians? Keep your opinion to yourself. You know, he's persuaded in his mind, you're persuaded in your. Look at verse 3. Let not him that eats despise him that eats not. You see that? There's a spirit of arrogance or pride that can come into the church and say, oh yeah. It's like, that person is causing trouble in Paul's mind. And when the Corinthians are saying, we are of Apollos, they have that thing going on. They're carnal. Now, to say this another way, or to reinforce the idea, I can be different from you, but the difference is not going to disrupt what I'm really looking for, because I'm going to let you believe the way you believe and be persuaded in your own mind. That's right there, is it verse 4? This little phrase, be persuaded. Who are you that judgest? No, it's not that one. It's verse 5. One man esteems one day above another. That's Saturday. Another seems every day alike. That's me. That's every day of the week. That's what, let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Be persuaded in his own mind. But be careful that your persuasion isn't carnal. Like a man could say, I can have sex with my girlfriend before I get married. I'm persuaded in my own mind. Oh, really? Yes, I'm different from you. I'm in the church, but there's diversity. I'm persuaded in my own mind. Well, this is a good question. Is that sin? Or is it, what is that? So that's the danger there. You could be persuaded in your own mind, but be wrong. That's Proverbs 14:12. There's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. What would the apostle say about sleeping with your girlfriend before marriage? What would he say about it? What would the apostle say about the puffed up, arrogant attitude they had against Paul? Paul's not as polished as Apollos, and we don't need Paul around anymore, and Paul can take a hike, We are rich, we are wise, we are able. Paul is saying, I'm in your face because you're wrong, because you need to learn that what this really is, because I have been sent. This is the Apostle Paul saying, I have been sent. And don't judge me. Don't judge me. 1 Corinthians 2:15 and 1 Corinthians 4. Okay? Don't judge me. But we will all be judged at that last day at the Bema Seat. Okay, so that's, does that explain it? Oliver, is that good? Yeah. I think it's there. I mean, the principle. Be persuaded in your own mind. I think, I don't know how to contextualize it in today's culture. iPads, movies, music, literature, traveling, friends, who are my friends, who do I hang out with, how do I spend my time. There's another thing too, I think, and it is that Paul is caring about, which is what we should care about, is I may live, I'll just call it good life, but Paul wants them to have the best life. He wants to win the prize. Turn to 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 24. Know you not that they which run in a race run all, but one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain. 24 to 27. 1 Corinthians 9, 24 to 27. Okay, one more chapter, 1 Corinthians 5. Would you read that, please? Here's a story, parable, little story. Young lady works at a law office, and she's young. She's at that age where she's not. She's getting concerned about whether she's going to get married or not. She's a little bit wanting to get married. Works at an attorney's office. Is a good worker. Attractive, but not married. Concerned about it. And the men in the lawyer's office ask her to go to happy hour on Friday. So she thinks about it, and she thinks, well, why not? Let's go to the happy hour. So now she's in the company of those men that know how to, flirt with her and have fun with her that way. And she's a Christian. Now she's thinking, should I do this? Should I be doing this? Like, this is getting a little bit edgy, where I am, and we're drinking and playing around and talking, and I'm losing my judgment on my life. I'm attracted to this life with these guys and what's going on, and they tell me the things I want to hear. I'm really interested in this, but I don't feel right about it. Okay, so read chapter 5, verse 11. And 12. Let's go back up to 9. 9. I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators. How can you live without being a friend to somebody who's a fornicator? How can you live without? How can you do that? Everybody is, maybe, in Corinth, in the city of Corinth. That's the point. Like, everybody is like that. And so now I'm living in America, or wherever I'm living, and this is the way of life. This is how they live. How can I not be there? How can I not be part of that? Then read verse 10. Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters, for then must you needs go out of the world. It says, like, in order to get away from it, you have to leave the earth. It's here, all around us. So there's a good question from the Corinthians. And it was brought up by a case where a man was sleeping with his father's wife. He wasn't the son of the woman, but his father, maybe he had a young wife, and the son from another mother was sleeping with his father's wife. And Paul is saying, you are proud people that have lost your sense of judgment. That's verse 2. And you are puffed up and have not rather mourned. It's like you should be crying about it, but you're actually laughing about it, snickering, like, isn't that cute? The guy that's in our church is sleeping with his father's wife. It's like, look at that. Have you ever seen anybody kind of like snicker, laugh under, in their heart? Like that is so, they should say that is so sad. But they say that is so cute. That is so funny. That is so, see, they've lost. Paul's saying, pride has blinded your spiritual senses. Because he uses the puffed up phrase a few times. You could count them. I mean, I think we've talked it 4 or 5 times. You are puffed up, have not rather mourned that he that has done this deed might be taken away from among you. You should be removed. Now here's the thing, here's the thing. There are things that the Apostle Paul says that should upset you. It should upset you. Just say, wow, I didn't know that being a Christian would be like that. It's like, that's crazy. Wow, I didn't know that I had to be like thinking like that. Wow. But this is good for us. Because then we gotta get God's mind. And he's saying there's a wisdom from the earth, and it'll let these things slide, and you just don't care. Then there is a wisdom from above that says that man is suffering because of his sin. That family is suffering because of their sin. That's not funny. That needs to be addressed. And listen, we've been in the ministry doing this for 40 years. And I got to say that I'm so happy that the preaching has given me some conviction in my heart so that I know how to walk away from some things. Now go back to the story, because it is a true story, actually. This girl told me, she said, you know what, Pastor? I had to decide not to go to happy hour on Friday night. But instead, I would say to the lawyers, I'm going to the church tonight. You want to come with me? And they would look twice at her and say, you're going where? I'm going to the church. There's no church on Friday. In our church, there's church on Friday night. I've got Bible college. Come with me. And, of course, what did they say? Oh, thank you very much. I think not tonight. I can't make it tonight. Okay, so she made a decision that who knows. Now, like, she is married. She has a family. She has an amazing Christian husband. But that's not the reason you obey. You obey because, like, God has something to say to you from the Apostle Paul about that. And he's saying, everybody's around here, he could say it like this, like, everybody's a thief or extortioner or a fornicator. The only way for me to get away from them is to leave the earth. That's what he said. Didn't he? He said, verse 10, he said, I wrote to you not to company with fornicators, yet not altogether with the fornicators of the world. He's saying, fornicators in the world, we live with them, we work with them, they are part of our life, but you can't have fornicators in the church. That can't happen. They have to be talked to. No, I happened as a pastor. I had a dormitory. A guy didn't come home at night. The guy told me, he said he didn't come home at night. And they said, I think he doesn't come home. I said, well, where is he staying? They said, I think he's at his girlfriend's. So I go right away to him. I say, are you staying at your girlfriend's at night? Are you sleeping with your girlfriend? And he said, who told you? I said, doesn't matter who told me. Is it so? And he bowed his head. He said, yes. I said, okay, stop it. You're in Bible college. You can't do that. Stop it. And if you can't, marry her. Get married to her. Make a commitment. Get married to her. And so he married her. They lived happily ever after. That's the end of the story. You know what? That's better. Okay, if the guy lives in fornication, and here's another case, because I have a lot of experience as a pastor. This guy comes in, and he's sleeping. He goes to some woman in our church, and sleeps with her, and then she doesn't know that. She thinks he's in love with her. Then he goes to another woman, and he sleeps with her. The same guy in our church. Well, when I find out about it, I go ballistic. I can't believe that. So I go to him. He's so repentant and he's so humble and everything. It's not real. The guy is not, he's a liar. He is a deceitful, lying person. And I just say, you cannot come here. Oh, but I'm a believer and I want to follow Jesus and you are teaching the Bible and everything. It's like all that, listen, I'm not a suspicious person, but in time, and I won't explain all the details to you, but this guy was dishonest. So he's gone. You cannot come here. We tell the ushers, if you come to the door, you're gone. You cannot come into this assembly. It's not allowed. Yeah, but I want to follow. Well, go follow God some other place. If you're really serious, you can find God. God's out there. Go out in the ocean or something. Go find God, When you find God, I'll be very happy for you. God bless you. Go find God. But you are not playing around. And by the way, the women in our congregation are stupid if they believe all that malarkey. Okay, translate to your neighbor, what's the word malarkey? Hi, Anna, what's malarkey? You tell Alicia. Malarkey. What's malarkey? It's probably an Irish word. I don't know what it is. Okay. Yeah, it's baloney. It's empty talking. It's puffed up talking. Okay. That's it for our class. This is what I'd like you to do. Next week we go to 2 Corinthians, but hardly have we gone. But just flip through your pages. We did a little bit of 8. We didn't touch 7, but we told you about marriage. We didn't do 9 about the offering and collecting money. Chapter 10, we touched a little bit. 11, about women and the head covering and prayer. 12, the spiritual gifts. 13, the excellent way of love, agape. 14, prophesying in the church. 15, the resurrection of Christ, 1 Corinthians 15. And then 16, the salutations. Okay, so that's it. Read it. And we've covered 1 Corinthians just in general. We'll go to the epistle to 2 Corinthians next week. God bless you.